Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore graphing linear equations. Now specifically in this lesson we are going to use tables and y is already going to be isolated. If you're looking for isolating y or without tables, you'll want to see a different video. There is a foldable for this. I encourage you to make sure you have that copy as we do need some graphs. The first thing we have in our foldable is some rules, how to create a table to graph a line. In step 1, I'd like you to just leave that blank for now. We're going to come back to that in a future lesson. Step 2, you're going to use or choose at least 5 x values. Now, typically I'm going to give you the x values, and typically we're going to choose the 5 values that are in the middle of our number line. Step 3, we're going to substitute those x values into the function rule. Whatever the rule is, we're going to plug in numbers and calculate, which is step 4. We're going to simplify. I'm going to write calculate as well. Maybe that makes more sense. We're going to calculate to find the y values. And step 5, we're going to put it all together by plotting the dots that we have found and connecting them with a line. All right, let's take a look at our first example. We're going to go through the steps that we just wrote down. Currently, we're skipping step 1. Step 2, use or choose 5 x values. Well, in this case, I'm telling you which x values to use. Step 3, plug in those x values into the function rule. Here's our rule. So I'm going to write out the rule with a blank or a parenthesis where the x is. Because the rule or the step says substitute the x values into the rule. So instead of x, -2. Instead of x, -1. Instead of x, 0. Instead of x, 1. Instead of x, 2. Step 4, calculate. 2 times -2 is -4. -4 minus 7 is -11. Let's go again. 2 times -1 is -2. Minus 7 more, -9. 2 times 0, minus 7. 2 times 1, minus 7. 2 times 2, minus 7. Now before we continue, you should notice a pattern. I see that we're jumping up by 2 each time. That's good. If you don't have a pattern in your x column and your y column, something's wrong. Okay, we should always see a pattern there. Step 5, plot your dots. So if I combine the x column with the y column, I have a point that I can plot. If I combine the x column and the y column, I have a dot. A 0 got me a -7. A 1 got me a -5. And the 2 got a -3. Now, in this particular unit, we are sticking to linear functions, meaning they should make a perfect line with arrows on the end. If they do not make a line, do not leave it. That means something is going on and we need to fix it. One thing to remember, that rule said y equals. Now I could tell you y equals, or I can use the function notation from our previous lesson. They mean the same thing and they're used the same way. They're just telling us what our rule is that we're going to use. So in this instance, same as example 1, use or choose 5 x values. Check. Step 3, we want to use the rule. Here's my rule, and we're going to plug in every x value. Now notice how there's a negative out front. That matters, that changes things. If you want a number there, typically there's a 1, right? Maybe you want to put a 1 in there. We want to plug in the x values from our x column. Next, we want to calculate. -1 times -2 is 2. Plus 1, the rest of the rule is 3. -1 times -1, plus 1. -1 times 0, plus 1. -1 times 1, plus 1. -1 times 2, 1, plus 1. Oops, excuse me, -2. Oh my goodness. -1 times 2, -2, plus 1. Now, if I have a pattern in the x column, I should have a pattern in the y column. And I do. I see that we're decreasing by 1 every row. So that's good. Let's plot our dots. -2, 3. -1, 2. 0, 1. 1, 0. And my fifth dot to -1. We need to check that they make a line, that we can connect them and draw arrows on the end. Let's try another one. User choose 5 x values, and I provided them on this example. Next, we want to use the given rule, -4 plus x. But instead of x, I'm putting parentheses. And we're going to substitute in our x column values. Next, let's calculate. -4 plus -2. -4 plus -1. -4 plus 0. -4 plus 1. -4 plus 2. A little bit easier this time since we didn't have a factor out front of our variable. Let's plot. -2, -6, x comma y, right? -1, -5, 0, -4, 1, -3, and 2, -2. They make a perfect line that we can connect and draw arrows. So remember, we want to substitute in, we want to calculate to find our y values. We want to plot to get a line. If you do not get a line, something is wrong. We need to keep working on the problem. Make sure you check out Google Classroom to see what the task is to go with this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and until next time, have a good one.